So I thought I'd show you what's going on here. I have a Sawstop PCS 1.75 horsepower, and I want to add the router to the right side of it. But to help save a little bit of cost, I'm going to show you what I did to modify the rails and the actual insert to get this set up. My Sawstop's from 2017, and it doesn't have the modified rails right here and here in the back to accept the router lift. So I had to drill 4 additional holes, as well as 1 hole in the router lift. You can see here the 2 holes that I drilled on this side, and then around on this side, 1 more, and right there. The holes that I drilled in the rail are ones that go with the already existing holes in the router insert, but I had to drill this 1 extra one right here because the rail's not quite long enough on the slightly older Sawstop model. I wasn't too nervous about drilling the holes in all these things, but I was nervous about getting this perfectly coplanar with the other extensions and the rest of the saw. So here's the underside of the router table extension wing. It has these 4 holes right here that are already machined into it. And I used these screws that came with the extension wing and jammed these 2 nuts together so that I could micro adjust the extension wing to prepare to pre-drill the new holes on my rails. Here's the router extension back on the in between the rails, and I'll show you what I mean by micro adjust. I stuck these here, and then I can turn this up and down. Same thing with the 2 in the front that you can kind of see that are out of focus. But this allows me to micro adjust to make sure that this router table extension and the other parts of the saw are perfectly coplanar. And you can see here I've got this straight edge running across the whole thing and running across the gap, and there's almost no light, and that's after I've drilled the new holes in it. I was able to screw those screws up and down to make sure that it was perfect on both sides. So this is the other hole that I had to drill just in the rail. But this hole right here, I had to drill both in the rail and in the extension. And I drilled it slightly oversized so that you can move the extension up and down just a little bit so that you can make it perfectly coplanar and even with the rest of this extension. So Sawstop sells a cast iron piece that you can put right here, but it's about 160 bucks. I'm gonna go ahead and just build one out of plywood or something else to fill that in. Sawstop does sell new rails that you can get that have these holes already ready for it, but they're about 150 bucks for the pair. And currently there's about a 7 to 9 week back order to get these new rails. The only thing I have left to do is to cut this little piece out here. I'll probably just cut down and come across so that you can use the miter gauge and as well as access the T-slot. On the other side, it doesn't matter because the rail's not quite long enough, and that'll work just fine. The gap here is exactly 8 1/4 inches, which is the same size as that cast iron insert that Sawstop sells, just in case I ever wanted to add it in the future or found a good deal on it on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, that I could add that in. I did have to go buy 4 of these screws at Ace Hardware so that I could attach the extension to the rail. I'm also going to add some high gloss black paint to the insides of the holes that I cut, as well as the notch that I'll cut out right here to fit the miter gauge. That way it'll help prevent rust and just make it look like it's factory and not something that I did by myself. I went ahead and taped off and then primered the holes, as well as cutting out that notch for the miter gauge. This is it after I've put a coat of paint on. You really can't tell. It looks great. I hope that helps you with some instructions on how to install this wing with the older style Sawstop rails. I couldn't find anything else on this on YouTube, so I thought I'd just show you myself. Good luck.